Hi everybody, welcome to Libations and Sensations. I am so excited for today. This has been a long time coming for me and my really good friend Nick Hirsch here. Nick, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Appreciate you honoring me with being on your podcast. It's
Absolutely.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
So we met at Lavo about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you're one of the people that I've maintained a good friendship with, so I'm so grateful for that. And you're a very talented bartender. You were doing such amazing things. Want to tell us about this beautiful cocktail that you've made for me today?
Yeah, so this is a really cool one because it's in the fourth generation of its existence. The original was called the Kiss of Amethyst, and it was originally on one of my menus from 2021 over at Huntress. And it's this current version is Monkey 47 gin.
Ooh.
With a gentian root amaro from Lo-Fi, and then it's got a hibiscus and blueberry and acai, a little bit of citrus, and then it gets fat washed with a rooibos milk tea rather.
Okay.
And then the top is a little more of that cocktail, and then some lavender essence and cream on top. So very floral, but still light. It works for dessert. It works at the beginning of your meal, you know. But this is a really cool one. I've done it, and it continues to evolve into what it is now today. So,
dang, what a creation! I'm so excited.
My pleasure.
So I'm gonna enjoy this. You're gonna enjoy beer,
and I'm gonna have a nice, refreshing
Here, I
beer
will
alongside
love to
of you.
pour your beer for you.
Oh, thank you.
Just because you took the time to make this beautiful cocktail, and I didn't do anything. Yeah. So I've been bartending for a while. I don't know what milk wash is.
So milk wash is fat washing is just goes back so long, and milk just being the fat in this instance. Essentially, there's a lot of really cool things and cool reasons to do it. Nowadays, it's got a little bit of a it's just the trendy thing to do kind of reputation. But it adds really cool texture to the cocktail. It's kind of rounds off sharp edges of like more abrasive flavor characteristics, which I really love. And then on a macro scale in service, it's really cool because you can, I grabbed one bottle. You know what I mean?
It's so easy.
It's not like, everybody batches nowadays, which is really cool, but literally your citrus element, your sweetening component, everything is in there. And like if you're in the weeds and it's on the rocks, you could just I tell any fat wash cocktail I have on the menu, I'm like, don't do that. Stir it first, dilute it, do it the right way. But I'm like, really, if you're in the weeds, just pour it over ice and you're good to go. You know what I mean? So it allows you to do so many really cool things. And then on the back end, and then in front of the guests at service, you can just kind of crank it out and go. So,
and it's simplistic in the sense that if you're dealing with like high volume restaurants or bars, it's great, but if only they knew the work that goes on behind the scenes.
And it's really cool too because so basically what happens is with milk washing specifically, you're kind of turning it into yogurt almost.
Okay.
It's not really appealing to watch happen, but once you strain it out, I've actually done this with some chefs in the past with pairing events where they take that spent dairy that's basically yogurt at that point, and they've actually turned it into cheese and then served it on like a charcuterie board and paired it that way. It's really cool. There's a lot of really cool applications, and then the flavors you can get are just amazing. And then when you start putting in different teas, or you can do other fats, everybody's got like some type of beef fat or Wagyu, different things, pork, you can just go nuts. And that's just experiment, and it's not always going to be good, but at least you can check it off the list and be like, okay, we tried that. It's not,
didn't work. On to the next product. Well, I want to try, so let's cheers it up. I'm assuming mixing?
You can. Depends how my grandfather always told me life is short, eat your dessert first, so
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Oops. I think the straw
won't fit past the eye.
Wait.
There you go.
Oh my God. That's freaking delicious. What? Thank you.
Good?
Yeah, it's so good. So how long have you been bartending for?
I've been in the bar industry for almost 21 years now.
Okay.
I started when I was 19, just, bar back at a little college bar, working the party, getting the girls, and doing dishes. And then, of course, I started bartending right after I turned 20. Don't tell the
And I was
the
going to say, was it legal or
not technically, but it was kind of like I got lucky where it's just one of those things, bartenders.
Yeah.
Somebody didn't show up for their shift and we need somebody else.
someone,
So I just started pouring beers, and it wasn't a cocktail bar. It was a pool hall,
dive bar.
college bar where half the people don't remember the night, and it was fun, but it was cool. And when you're 19, 20 years old, even 21, like the environment's fun, it's fast paced, and so I got my start in that realm, and then I kind of went into the nightclub scene. Spent a lot of time in Vegas. Did some nightclubs in Long Beach before I went to Vegas, and was just the appeal of the fast pace was what drew me in, and then of course there's the money. Yeah, and then I can't even remember how old I was when it kind of evolved from there into being a passion for like cocktails and the culinary aspect of it. But I've been 20, this will be, at the end of this year, it'll be my 21st year in the bar industry.
Dang, okay.
Yeah, my back hurts.
Yeah, but I mean, so now you've gone from college bar backing to now what is your current role?
So now I am my title is the mixologist for RMD Group here in San Diego. Basically the beverage director, but I'm in charge of the cocktail programming for currently 4 different venues. We're opening another one here in just a few months.
What?
And then we do, we're a consulting group as well. So we do different levels of consulting, whether it's just hospitality or food and beverage for different groups. Right now we actually just picked up a really big hotel contract that's pretty exciting.
Okay.
So I'm going to be redoing a couple of the I don't want to expose their you got your drinks from somebody else kind of a deal, but it's a really, really big hotel group name, and so we're super excited about it. And of course I get to just kind of go in and teach people types of cocktails they've never done before, and that's really exciting.
And that's what you've been wanting to do.
Right? I mean, I get asked all the time. I've been back in with RMD for like 6 or 7 months now, and when I go pop in and check in on the venues and check in on the cocktails and that kind of thing, every once in a while I'll just pop back and make a ticket in the service well or something. Just to and last night actually, my good friend Dakota, I hopped back there, and it was a call ticket for like 2 Angel's Envy sours and 2 Hendrix gimlets, I think. And I banged them out real quick, and one of our old regulars happened to be sitting at the bar from when I opened that place as the head bartender back in the day, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is such a nostalgic moment!" Like, and then they start joking like, "Does your back hurt already? You were around." It's fun to like go through the evolution of something like that with a venue or a company where I started in there and opened that building and built that program as their head bartender.
Yeah.
Took a hiatus when we met at Lavo, of course, and now I'm back in a much, much larger role, and I'm getting to take a break from being behind the bar so much and focus more on helping others figure out what it is they want out of the industry, teaching new cocktails and really spending a lot of my time on the creative side, which is really like where my passion lied in, like, just trying new things that I mean, you get inspiration from everywhere. And like I said before, I've made a lot of really disgusting cocktails in my life, but you start there and then you go, okay, that didn't work. Let's put this one in and see how that works. And it's like the artistic expression of it and the creationism of it. It's just like, it's something that really gets me excited. So it's cool to be able to be in that role now. And then, there's the admin and the office stuff that comes along with a role like that. But, it's cool because it's, we could always keep learning new things. And so that's the stage of my career where I'm at now, is I'm sharpening up that business acumen and all the, financial practices and all that stuff. So it's just as interesting. It's just not as exciting.
So it's almost like a treat if someone goes to a bar and you pop behind the bar and make a cocktail. It's like, what? Nick's making us a cocktail.
I mean, if they know me or have been to one of my bars before or something, because everybody knows I've kind of stepped out of being from behind the bar. So it's cool that they think of it that way. It's kind of special to me. Like, it actually meant something when I was serving these guests for years, and the fact that they appreciate it like that, and it's kind of like a cute moment for them. It's kind of like, you really do like me. But yeah, it's still fun. It's still a part of what drives us as bartenders, is that interaction with the guests and having a good time and building that rapport and that like family. I've got guests that, I met them on that side of the bar and face to face, and now they're like practically family, and so it's really cool. Yeah.
Well, I definitely think that's, and I've said this in other episodes, but one of my favorite parts of being in this industry and being a bartender is the connections you make with people that end up being lifelong friends.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, what brought me back to where I am now on the professional side of things was a connection with somebody that I had when I opened it the first time, and they all wished me the best, and there was no ill will. I left. I said, I'm going. I worked for Tao in the past, and I'm going to go do that now. And they wished me that they'd come in and visit me at the bar all the time. When they heard everything that was going on, they said, "Okay, we're rooting for you. And we want to help you get where you want to go with your career." And
that's great.
And I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. Like I didn't leave on bad terms, but like when somebody quits, you're kind of like you wouldn't think they would want to help you later,
right?
So it's pretty cool.
True.
And then I've got the ones that like people I met. I had just moved to San Diego when I started with R&B the first time around, and didn't know anybody. And then here comes some guests that were from LA of all places. They would come down every weekend after we opened to sit at our bar, and they'd say like, this guy, they were just really cool people.
Yeah.
And now they moved down here to San Diego. They live here now. We go watch football together. They'll cook at their place, and then they're like, they've met my mom, which is on like Mother's Day.
That's when
My aunt came down on Mother's Day a few years ago, and they happened to be there at the same time, and they got to meet and stuff. And now they're like, friends on Instagram and like messaging each other, and it's really cool. So, yeah, you meet a lot of really, really cool people, just socially, but then also professionally as well. That's a big part of it. You never know who's watching. You never know who you're gonna meet. So that kind of helps you put things into perspective. It's just like you have a really awesome job, and it's a pain in the ass sometimes, but most of the time it's we play with alcohol. You know what I mean? Like you can do it anywhere in the world.
Absolutely.
So.
And I think a lot of it is also, we're having fun, we're making money, but we're giving guests an experience, and it's a testament to how good you are and how well you're doing when they come back specifically for you, or I want Nick to make me this cocktail, and the support.
For sure. It's definitely when you can make an impression on someone like that, to where they're returning again. It's very, very special. I used to tell younger bartenders getting into it when and they thought, oh, that sounds so corny. I said, yeah, but I was like, think about it. On the first time you meet a guest, right? The first time they come sitting in your bar, like they could have gone anywhere in the world, right? But they came there to give you money. Maybe not you specifically, but your venue, your bar, whether they read a review or whether they were just walking by, like they made a choice to come in there, and that shouldn't be taken lightly.
No, absolutely.
To me, that's like the core element to hospitality, is like just really it's become my catchphrase when I'm speaking to groups of bartenders and doing trainings and things like that. Like at the end of the day, it all just gets chopped up to one simple phrase, and just give a shit. Like you just give a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
give a shit
about
what you do. Give a shit about the people sitting across from you, and not in like a negative sense, like you should give a shit, but no, like you just care. You just you actually. I used to get in fights with managers all the time because I'm like, well, I'd get mad that their experience was ruined by something out of my control.
Right.
And
I've
so
seen it firsthand.
It fires me. I get passionate about that. Like I really care about the experience they're having on the other side. So because it should be, every interaction should be special. And when you really start to believe that, and where it's just a natural thing for you, like the money just comes. Like it goes, oh, if you're having a rough night and somebody stiffed you. And I'm like, yeah, but if you let that get to you, the next person's probably going to stiff you too, because you're not going to be so pleasant.
You're carrying that over.
Just focus on what you can control, and everything else will kind of just come into play. And after 21 years, that still holds true. And I'm glad I didn't make that up along the way. So,
well, even like I think, you know, I've had guests come in and they say, oh, I'm so sorry, but I really want a mojito. And I always apologize to them and say, I'm so sorry you went to a place that a bartender made you feel bad for ordering a mojito, that now you do that every time you want to order the cocktail that you love.
You apologize for ordering what you want. I don't do that.
And so I'm just, you know, I think to myself, no, that's what I do. Mm-hmm. I'm happy to make any kind of cocktail that you want. What's the other one? The
fizz.
The fizz, yeah. People get crazy
that one's
about
a little more difficult than a mojito, but it's still not, like, you shouldn't apologize.
It's rare that you get them, and I think it's special when people order them, because I rarely ever get that. Right. And if you have the ingredients and you have the opportunity, why wouldn't you want to make it?
It's actually, what's really cool about those two cocktails in particular, in that element of it, like, you know, bartenders like, oh, I gotta make a mojito or you know, I actually, you know, when you get taught, there's so much, like, yes, there's the way it was originally done, and we pay homage to that, but we've come a long way as an industry, and like, there's you don't have to sit there and muddle the crowd. You don't need a muddler to make a mojito. Give it a good, drop it in there, shake it up, and you know, treat it as a swizzle if you want, and you're still getting just as fresh of a mint flavor out of it without having to muddle. And it takes just as long to make a mojito nowadays as it does if you've got good mint, good lime, good ingredients, as it takes to make a 1-in-1. You know, and I remember I actually put Ramos Fizz play on a menu last year somewhere else, and they all looked at me. I'm in there teaching them the cocktail menu, and they were just daggers. And I was like, but wait, I swear, I promise you. I was like, pull out your phone right now and start the timer. And I was like, this will literally take 90 seconds. If you follow this rule, this rule, and this rule. You know, and then we did it, and then I had them going through exercises and practicing how to make it. And they were all just like, they were excited because they're like, oh, now I can actually make this and not be like, oh, it's going to put me in the weeds. Right. Because there's just ways about going about it. That cool little frother, you know, to froth up the cream. You know, you can use that for in lieu of throwing a cocktail, which is like a really cool looking technique that adds all that air to it. But you can take one of those, and for 30 seconds just use the whipper, and it's a little more aggressive, so it works faster, and you're getting all that air into the cocktail, but it's saving time, and you're still getting the same effect and the same quality. So I think there's such a stigma around having to do it the way it was intended to be done, instead of remembering that at the end of it, it's just getting to the final product that matters. And there's always what's the old adage, work smarter, not harder. Always, you know, there's always a way. It's not cheating. It's just, you know, would you rather take 5 minutes to make this one really cool drink for the one person, or take 5 minutes to make it 5 times for 5 people to experience and make 5 times the money for it? So,
well, that perfect example of that is the Buena Notte at Lava. It was Lava's version of an espresso martini, and it was easy, but it was the cream situation. It was essentially what you did is you froth up the cream, but you got smart with it, and it's like, well, let's just froth it up in big
put it in the
quantities and have it ready to go. I'm like, oh, and here I am, like every single one. I'm making like 100 a night.
I remember when we were going through the like pre-opening trainings with everybody, and I think I had been there like a day, and everybody was making one of those, and I'm kind of coming through, and even it was like, you have to do the ounce of the sugar and then the 3 ounces of the cream, like as you're building each cocktail. And I kind of pulled Craig to the side. I was like, dude, can't we just put the sugar in the cream and at least remove that step, and it's just put it in one? He's like, oh, that's actually a really good idea. He's like, yeah, let's do that. And then maybe a couple months into being open, I was like, wait a minute, like
there's got to be
some other way, because you'd have to do it. It's like 45 seconds with that. And you know, when you stack that on top of the top selling cocktail we had, I mean, we were doing 100 of those a night. It adds up. So you get a little deli cup, and it doesn't look as fun and engaging for a guest, but the cocktail's still amazing at the end of the day, and you get a nice layer still, and doesn't sacrifice the integrity of it at all.
Still comes out delicious. It is. They did a good job.
Yeah,
because it is a really good espresso martini.
Yeah, it's still probably the best espresso martini. That the core of the cocktail is a classic espresso martini, and then you just get that little tiramisu. Honestly, the cream is what does it. Like the cream with the dust on top is just like
so good.
But it also offered like a, we had a lot of guests that come in like, you know what, I love it, but I just want a classic because they want a bolder, richer coffee flavor, and then they would go, okay, now I'll have that one, and they always go back to it. But it's cool when you have a twist on a classic where it's different enough and it's not just like one little thing changed, but it changes the character of it to where they can still have the original and then go, okay, now I'll have that, and they're so different but still so similar. It's cool.
Yeah. And I always say my favorite guest is a guest that says, surprise me.
Oh yeah.
Like get creative with it. Like yes. Doesn't have to be what's on the
What's
menu.
the first question you ask? When somebody says that, what do you ask them?
I ask, what spirit do you usually drink? And then I try to see if they are open to venturing out of that.
Okay. Functional.
Yeah. What about you?
So I don't do it as much or when I was bartending, but my thing used to always be to ask them what their favorite color was. Because it disarmed them. They'd be like, what? Like what does that have to do with my color? I'm like, just trust me, I'm a professional. Just
I know what I'm doing.
What's your favorite color?
I've been doing it for a while.
And sometimes it bit me in the ass because they would pick some black. Okay. And early 2000s, and it's like, oh crap, what am I gonna do? Yeah, right. But it's fun, and it was the way of me getting like that icebreaker moment with them where they're like, oh, just make, because sometimes they'll just like, oh, just make me something, but sometimes they're engaging and kind of like, oh, surprise me, and they want to see what you got,
right?
And you start off by just making fun of it in a way, like making light of it and having a good time, and then it felt like they're disarmed, and now they're like, okay, they're gonna take good care of me, they're having fun with what they're doing, and then it's of course like, well, for a while, the nervous, 23, 24-year-old, like, are you allergic to anything? I don't want to.
Oh,
I remember there was one family that came into Lavo, and the girl, it was her 21st birthday, and the parents were there. They're like in their 60s, and they're super cute little family sitting on the corner, and they're like, it's my 21st birthday, this is gonna be my first cocktail ever. And then I cracked a joke, like, according to your parents, you know what I mean? And she's like, no, I swear I've never drank it. I'm like, okay. And but she goes, we have to try the espresso martini, but she was I forget what I want to say it was a nut allergy or something, and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot kill this girl on her first cocktail on her 21st. So I was like, she's like, we really want to put a note to it. And I'm like 90% sure you're not gonna die, but let me check Kahlua, because I was totally spacing on, the whole it can say it doesn't contain nuts, but if it's made in a place that does and nut allergies are super serious. Right. So I was like, I tell you what, I'm gonna use this because I know it's safe instead of the Kahlua, just because, not saying Kahlua wasn't, but off the top of my head, it wasn't worth the risk, and I just had a moment of and I'm watching her as she took her first sip, and I'm like, please don't die, please don't die, please don't die.
She's okay.
Yeah, and it was just fun, and part of it was playing into it, and the parents were laughing like, you're so cute, like, oh my god, and they took us fat, but because it's a show and it's fun, and I was concerned, I didn't want to kill somebody, but at the same time, you put a little extra on it and make it fun, and there's something that this kid's gonna deal with for her whole life,
right?
And she could laugh at it, so. It was fun. It was cool. I remember them. It was the mom, the dad, her, and then a younger sister who wasn't 21. And so I gave her a virgin version of it, of the same thing, just without the alcohol. Just put some espresso and the cream on top, and it was fun. They were a really cool couple.
Cute. I love. Essentially, the bar is a stage, and we're performing in a sense, but with cocktails.
And some people thrive on that energy, and some people get a little nervous, and then you get comfortable, and it is confidence behind a bar is so important, and there's so many people I've met that we become friends socially, and they're like, you're different behind the bar than you are out in public. I'm like, yeah, if I'm at the bar, like as a guest in a room full of 30, 40 people that I don't know, I'm like, scared little boy. Like if somebody starts a conversation with me, I can talk, but like I don't approach straight. If I'm behind the bar, I'm like,
you're in your element.
Running around, having a good time, talking to everybody, making fun of people, cracking jokes,
So you're an introvert, extrovert.
100%.
Yeah.
At work, in that element, 100% extrovert. But like out socially, I'm like, nope.
People? I don't know.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, I think bartending has definitely, and I've seen it happen to green bartenders, new bartenders coming in. It's a way to get you to break out of that shell.
Oh yeah.
Of okay, I'm gonna have to be a little uncomfortable and be okay with it. Mm-hmm. Is there any advice that you have for new people or new bartenders or people that are wanting to pursue this as a career?
To deal with that specifically, picture everyone in their underwear. No, with that in particular, it's just don't be so hard on yourself. Like I said at the very beginning of this conversation, it was we play with alcohol for a living, right?
Fun,
it's really cool and it's really easy, but it's not. We're not like developing the cure for some detrimental disease. Like you know what I mean? We're there to help people have a good time and responsibly and party and all that kind of stuff and provide an experience to enhance their meal or whatever the case may be. Nothing that we're doing is gonna like just detrimentally alter, somebody's livelihood.
Right.
So, well, within reason, right? Don't overserve, the responsible thing and all that. But we don't have to put so much pressure on ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. And nowadays too, you're seeing a lot of bars with their apprenticeship programs and people are getting into the industry via bars that aren't of the nightlife sort of place where where like guys like me got their start and I feel like in that environment it's so much easier because if you make a mistake, nobody in there is actually drinking cocktails. Right. It's like shots of tequila, vodka sodas, and and there's music, and you're just like, and it's so easy. And throughout, if you're starting there, in my experience, starting there, it was so easy to get confident because like you're the bartender at a nightclub, so like everybody's flirting with you, you're just having a good time. You're just like it's easy. And if you make a mistake, you just throw it away and you start again. It's no big deal. But then as you progress and you get into a craft cocktail bar or a restaurant or something like that where there's a little more engagement involved, you already have like a par level of confidence in your abilities and
so true.
And there's no like shaking with the jigger like we all do at trainings of a new restaurant. It's like and like we've been doing this a long time and the first time we pour in front of the new bosses it's like but nowadays you see there's a lot of bartenders that they don't have to go that route to get their start, and so they're thrown into that right away, and I see the confidence and the nerves, and they're so hard on themselves, and at the end of the day, you just gotta, as the one that's developing them or teaching them or bringing them along, wherever the case may be, mentoring them, if you will, just make sure they're having fun. At the end of the day, if you I can't remember what the cocktail was, but one gal, it was the Ramos Fizz when I was showing them how to, like she was so nervous about and so when it went to, add the rest of the soda water at the end and get that rising foam, she crushed it. Like she was crushing the cocktail and she got it to like 3/4 of an inch and then she stopped and I like grabbed her hand and I was like, and I grabbed my phone and I started recording and I slowly kept going, and it got up to about 1.5 to 2 inches and she was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then I turned the whole bottle and dumped it all over the place and made a mess. And then she just like busted up laughing and then like immediately she was like, oh my gosh, like I needed that, the nerves out the window. Yeah. Like nobody here is in this environment, like we're learning. Nobody's gonna judge you, nobody's gonna teach you. You crushed it. Yeah. That's why I got footage of that first before I made a mess of it, right?
Yeah,
and so you can realize it's just drinks.
Just drinks, we're having fun. It's like the glassware thing. Some people freak out because, oh my God, I broke a glass. But if you realize, yeah, I get it. Like the owners probably don't like when you break a glass, but the guests, they're Opa and laughing and clapping, and it's part of the show. And so I think once you get past that and realize everyone's just really here to have a good time.
Yeah.
And the fact that we get to be a big part of their experience is pretty special.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's funny, you know, I can go from saying, don't put so much pressure on yourself because it's just, we're just having a good time, and you know, it's not the end of the world if you make a mistake. But then, you know, on the other side of it, you are responsible for their good time. So take it seriously and respect it. And it's just kind of like one of those, I don't know, is that an oxymoron? I don't know, like it's, yes, don't be so hard on yourself, but take it seriously. Like, you know, because the one thing I can't stand is watching a bartender who feels that like they're better than the guest for some reason, or like, oh, I'm not gonna make that. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, who, the ones who, I know everything already, and you know, I don't want to make that. You gotta do something else, and it's like that. But that's what they want. Like, you're not better than that. You're not. You know. That would probably be my another important piece of advice to like newer bartenders is as you start to catch your stride and come into your own and find your own style, don't stop trying to learn anything new, anything at all, because the minute you start doing that, it can go south really quickly. You know, you can be perceived as, you know, people don't care about how long you've been a bartender for. If you're not willing to learn, and you know,
so true.
Until it's your bar, you still got to do it the way of whoever's bar it is, right? So you've got to be able to learn how to form to that. And I mean, I've not to knock on anywhere in particular, but I've seen it a lot recently, and since I've been down in Southern California, where it's just a lot of people that they came from a long line of really cool, really established bar programs, and then so now they go, oh, I'm better than this, and it's like, well, you know, you can still learn. Like, you know, I'm old, always bar dad now when I'm in, and I'm still learning new things because like you have to. Because the game is constantly changing technique-wise. They're always finding new ways, and even if there's for some reason nothing out there that you haven't learned yet, then go try to find a new way to do something. Try to put something else out there that you could learn and experience along the way. Keep your creative juices flowing. You know, I sit in the office now or at my desk for, you know, 5-6 hours a day, just looking at numbers and spreadsheets and all this stuff, and you can easily lose sight of like that creative element, unless you go experiment once in a while and try. So, you know, if you stop doing that, then you really kind of lose the core of why we started doing it in the first place, right? Otherwise, we would all just stay in nightclubs and, you know, pour vodka sodas and shots of tequila. Nothing wrong with that, but it's just, you know, you can't do that forever. You can make cocktails, you can design cocktails, you can teach cocktails. In hospitality for a long time, you know, nightclub type stuff comes and goes. So
yeah, I don't think I could. I mean, I worked in a nightclub for a while, but once you've like graduated from that, it's hard to go back to school in a sense, you know, like so, but I thank you so much. This was awesome. I'm so grateful. I have so many great friends in the industry, and you're one of them. And just the fact that you took the time to make me such a beautiful cocktail, to take time out of your busy schedule for this means a lot. So I just want to thank you.
My pleasure.
And yeah, so thanks for tuning in. I'm sure this won't be the last time you're on the show, because I plan to have you on again.
Yes.
Maybe.
There's a second date.
There's a second. All right. So thanks. Tune in next time, and we'll see you soon. Bye. Cheers.
Come by.
Boop. This is so good. Awesome.